Do you want to do our awards?
Let's do our awards. Yes, let's do our awards.
It's amazing how we just can do it on the fly
That's
like
right.
this.
That's right. Well, we might have to fly through these a little quicker than we were thinking, but
It's
yeah,
okay.
It's okay.
It's all right. We'll do them. We just basically took 5 major awards in pro football, and we wanted to get these on record here before the season kicks off tonight of who we think ends up winning what. And it starts with MVP, which, in terms of bettable, it really wasn't the most bettable market this offseason. It could change as things adjust here after the first few weeks of the season. Week by week, you can bet these, and things will reveal themselves, let's say. In the end, an MVP you went with?
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is who I went with. I did have to bat around. We talked about MVP. Neither you or I have an MVP bet, correct?
We do not. We
don't have an MVP bet. I believe the top of the board is the way you would want to look at in this market.
Yep.
And I don't really think it's worth making a bet in it right now.
I don't.
But Joe Burrow, I think as much as the national media talks about him, as good as I expect that team to be, it feels a little bit like it could be his year.
Okay. I went Justin Herbert. Again, no bet.
For a lot of the same reasons, though. I liked your pick, too.
Well, mine was sort of like what I just said about Justin Steele. Like, he's the guy that put the team in the playoffs. I think you're the Chargers guy this year. You do have Chargers bets.
Yep.
I think Herbert is so good this year that he wills the Chargers into the playoffs, and they might not actually give up a 27-point lead in the postseason this year. That I believe as well, but this is obviously a regular season award. So I got Justin Herbert. I could have just as easily picked Joe Burrow. It was sort of a coin flip. Why not Patrick Mahomes? Just because I think there's a fatigue issue. Probably. He's sort of LeBron-ish at this point.
He's amazing. Of course, I wouldn't be surprised if he won it, but yes, I think the LeBron comp is fair.
What do you want to do? Let's go Offensive Player of the Year. Now, Offensive Player of the Year, which is an Associated Press award, has really over the last 4 years become this de facto non-quarterback award. It didn't used to be that way. It used to be pretty evenly dispersed between quarterbacks and running backs. But then all of a sudden, sort of unspoken, the MVP has boiled down to a quarterback award, which Aaron Schatz, very famously says, can you just tell us it's a quarterback award at this point?
Yeah.
And Offensive Player of the Year becomes any other position that shined who's the best non-quarterback. You ended up going with?
I went Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
But I got close to doing something similar as you.
Yes. I bucked that recent trend.
Yeah.
I said, that's a 4-year window. Let's not make this a thing. And I feel like Jalen Hurts flirted with all of this last year as well. I think Jalen Hurts gets this year.
He was in that conversation last year. Yep. The two I was choosing between was McCaffrey and Lamar Jackson, because I think Lamar Jackson they might make the same kind of case for that you would with Hurts.
And Jamar Chase is the short shot here in this category.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
I went Hurts. I think they revert back to, they're like, this guy's too good. His numbers are going to be too good. The Eagles are going to be too good for us to shut out Jalen Hurts of any award. Offense. What do we want to do next? Defensive.
Defensive player.
Let's do defensive player of the year. Of course we do. I'm going to start with this one because I have a little war, scars from last year.
Revenge bet.
I had Micah Parsons last year at plus 650. That looked like it was the best bet ever. And then all of a sudden it wasn't when Nick Bosa overtook him. By the way, Nick Bosa with the multi-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers, which is a huge development for the Niners out in the Bay. I went with Micah again. I think Micah Parsons there's no defensive player as great as Bosa is, as great as Myles Garrett is, as great as all these other guys, TJ Watt. And there are plenty of times all year we say, oh my God, what did TJ Watt just do? Mm-hmm. But how many times do we say that about Micah? He's all over the field. He made a play at the line of scrimmage. He made a play in the backfield. Oh, my God, he made a play 20 yards downfield. What is happening? So I got Micah Parsons as Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's arguably the most valuable defensive player in football, especially when we talk betting and what it means to a spread. We used to talk about that with Aaron Donald all the time. Yeah. I would think for a lot of the guys that do power ratings on players, Micah Parsons is right up there these days. I did go with Myles Garrett. Micah Parsons, of course, I went with Myles Garrett. I could have easily gone with Micah Parsons. I do think this Browns defense, though, is going to be great this year. They've added to this pass rush. I think that's going to free up some things for Myles Garrett, let him get to the quarterback a few more times. I think he's going to rack up some big sack numbers this year.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, as we move along on these, because we got to get to a few more. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I really wanted to go Jackson Smith-Njigba, because I think he is perhaps the most talented of the bunch. We matched. We both went Jahmyr Gibbs, sort of based on our conversation that we had before, which is I actually think Dan Campbell and the Lions are going to try to prove their point about Jahmyr Gibbs.
Me too.
We have some reportage, if you will, from some people who are like, oh, he is going to get it. He's going to be fed the football. So I went Jahmyr Gibbs on a flyer.
This dude's a stud. I think they're going to use him in a lot of different ways in that offense, both receiving, both out of the backfield. Yes, I think he has a huge year. It might be. I haven't made a bet yet. I don't know why I've been holding back on that all summer. Gill might end up betting it at some point, though.
Defensive Rookie of the Year is probably the hardest one.
Yeah,
I think.
Definitely.
I think this is more of just a shot in the dark. I ended up going with the guy who I think is just the best of the bunch. I think Jalen Carter is the most talented. I think the Eagles are going to be great, so I ended up going Jalen Carter. I wanted to pick someone in the secondary, like Emmanuel Forbes, who made a lot of big scoring plays at Mississippi State, plays with Washington now, but it's so hard to win it in the secondary.
It really is. Look, Jalen Carter, I think great pick there as well. I went with Devin Witherspoon. I do expect that Seahawks secondary to be even better this year. I think he could have a lot of opportunities, get a lot of picks, and hopefully that puts him up into the conversation. But like you said, a market I can't imagine I'm betting at any point this year.
And then Coach of the Year I actually do have backed up with the bet. Matt LaFleur, Green Bay Packers, again, I've explained. I think Jordan Love is going to be good, and I think because of that juxtaposed against the Aaron Rodgers year, LaFleur will come out smelling like roses.
Love LaFleur. I went with Pete Carroll. I think if the Seahawks are able to somehow win that division over the Niners, it goes to Carroll, especially after what we saw last year with him.
All right.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.